Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, and fellow professionals. I also would like to welcome those who are joining us online. Thank you for taking the time to share this conversation with us. Please also allow me to welcome in our presence today, Mr. Victor Sigesi, our keynote speaker, our facilitator, Mr. Kadapiri, our panelists, Mr. Abetau, Dr. Sedzani Musundwa, and Ms. Sekhupuche Malachi. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to Ms. Portia Mkabela from ACCA Southern Africa. But most noticeably, we are graced this evening by our honorary doctorate holders, Ms. Nonkululeko Gobodo, welcome Mama, and online, Professor Wiseman Kuhlu. For those who are not in the profession or are not accountants, Ms. Nonkululeko Gobodo and Prof. Wiseman Kuhlu were the first in our history as African accountants in South Africa, opening the gates of access for us and for our future generations, balancing the scales of diversity, equity, and inclusion, not only in measurable numbers, but in the work that they continue to do today in their spaces of influence. Then I'd like to come home and welcome Professor Hosana from the Deanery, Prof. Ben, our director from School of Accounting, our leadership in the Department of Commercial Accounting, Ms. Buitumelo Kuzwayo, our deputy, Mr. Liseho Kumalo, and in absentia, Ms. Maurice Mouton and Professor Lethiwe Nzama. So that you all know where we belong, we are going to play a video that introduces the Department of Commercial Accounting to give context to who we are and where we play within the University of Johannesburg and our wider community in South Africa.
Good day, Sanibonani, Tobela, Dumelang. My name is Buitumelo Kuzwayo, and I'm the head of department at the Department of Commercial Accounting. The Department of Commercial Accounting is one of two departments within the School of Accounting, which is housed within the College of Business and Economics. We are based at the Soweto campus, which is resident to almost 5 million residents within the heart of Johannesburg. We are also down the road from Southern Africa's largest hospital, which is Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. Our vision at the Department of Commercial Accounting is to develop critical thinkers, thought leaders, and difference makers. Our staff complements includes passionate and competent staff. Our key strategic objectives include teaching and learning, research, and community engagement. And the key thread amongst all of these objectives is social impact as well as innovation. At the Department of Commercial Accounting, we offer a flagship qualification, which is the Diploma in Accountancy. This is a qualification for entry-level accountants or as well as accounting technicians. Part of our qualification is to create leaders in our field. We attract students who are self-driven, have hope for a brighter future for themselves as well as generations to come. A large cohort of our students that we attract are first-generation students within their families. That means they are the first ones to actually go to university. A key component of our qualification is to ensure that we equip our students with the following: critical thinking. As part of our key strategic focus, we look at research. One of the things that we love to do within the Department of Commercial Accounting is make sure that we contribute to the scholarship of teaching and learning in the 4 main disciplines that we teach. And this includes financial accounting, financial management, management accounting, auditing, as well as taxation. And this includes within the private as well as the public sector. As a Department of Commercial Accounting, we understand the need to perform multidisciplinary research. One of the important factors that we take into account within the Department of Commercial Accounting is ensuring that we maintain as well as create relationships with stakeholders. This includes people within industry, professional bodies, as well as internal UJ stakeholders. We have strong partnerships with the following stakeholders: the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, also known as ACCA, the South African Institute of Chartered Accountants, also known as SAICA, as well as the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, also known as CIMA. We also have a few relationships with IIA, the Institute of Internal Auditors, as well as the South African Institute of Tax, also known as SITE. Our qualification offers exemptions with some of these professional bodies. As part of our future projects within the Department of Commercial Accounting, we are working hard in order to develop postgraduate qualifications, as well as short learning programs, including continuous education programs. Over and above the current diploma in accountancy that we offer, we currently offer short learning programs to people who work within industry. As a team, we are also looking to develop postgraduate qualifications that cater to people within the industry, as well as people with undergraduate qualifications. The Department of Commercial Accounting boasts a lot of success stories. Our staff, as well as students, have been recipients of multiple awards, including the Mail and Guardian Top 200 South Africans, SAICA's Top 35 Under 35, academic awards within ABASA, CIMA, IIA, as well as our staff who have obtained postgraduate qualifications, including PhDs. In 2024, the Department of Commercial Accounting conferred its first honorary doctorate on Nonkululeko Gobodo. She is the first Black female South African to become a chartered accountant in South Africa, and this happened in 1987. Within her career, she then founded what is now known to be SNG Grant Thornton, one of the big 5 auditing firms within South Africa. We look forward to engaging you as you walk through the corridors at our Soweto campus as students and stakeholders. Thank you.
The University of Johannesburg, our future reimagined.
So what I didn't do was introduce myself, if I recall. I am Ms. Lulama Boyce. I'm a senior lecturer in the Department of Commercial Accounting and proudly based in Soweto campus. It's a privilege to welcome you all to this conversation on bridging the gap, accountants as catalysts for African solutions. As we gather here, we are reminded of the bold vision of the African Union's Agenda 2063. The Africa we want. A continent defined by inclusive growth, sustainable development, and homegrown solutions. Closer to home, South Africa's National Development Plan 2030 echoes this vision, calling on all sectors of society to work together in building more equitable and prosperous nation. These agendas fall squarely within UJ's strategic vision of 2035. And as we celebrate 20 years of UJ, we are centered on 3 pillars: sustainability, impact and sustainability, global footprints and partnerships, and technology for the future. So this dialogue is not misplaced, but it's an opportunity for us to reflect on how our profession, accounting, is not just about numbers, compliance, or reporting. It is about enabling trust, accountability, and innovation that drive transformation in both public and private spheres. Accountants are uniquely positioned to be the bridges, linking policy with practice, sustainability with profitability, and vision with measurable outcomes. Today, we will also explore how collaboration between business, and in this case, ACCA and SNG, and academia can equip current and future accountants to meet Africa's challenges with solutions that are ethical, relevant, and future-focused. Together, we can move beyond the traditional roles and take our place as architects of Africa's growth and its story. So as we begin, let us open our minds, share boldly, and commit to shaping solutions that carry the signature of Africa's resilience, creativity, and its potential. I am pleased to welcome you not only as an audience to this conversation, but as architects and participants of crafting this future that we want for Africa. I am now going to call upon our keynote speaker, Mr. Victor Sekesi. He said I must keep his bio to 3 sentences. And if you know him, or if you Google him, you would know that this would be very difficult to do. But I'm going to try. So I had to Google him to try and get the 3 sentences. Oh yes, I've missed something. Before I introduce him, I needed to request Prof. Hosana to come and welcome us from the deanery. Thank you. You nearly got away, Prof.
Thank you, Miss Boitumelo. Sorry, Miss Lulama, soon to be Dr. Lulama, by the way, so you can give her a hand clap. Thank you very much. So good evening, colleagues, to our keynote, Mr. Sekese, Victor, to our partners, students, researchers, academics, to our freshest honorary doctorates, Ms. Gobodo. It's quite an honor to have you here. And Prof. Wiseman Nkutlu, who is online, it's quite an honor to have you here as well. Also to thank our host, Ms. Boitumelo Kuswayo, Department of Commercial Accounting, and to all of you who are here today, the panelists. Thanks, Portia Kabela, for being here today. From ACCA, Abed Tau, who's a panelist. Dr. Sedzani, we really look forward to hearing from you. And where is, there you are, Seropote Malachi, also as a panelist. So welcome, and thanks for being here. For me, it's a privilege to welcome you on behalf of my Executive Dean, Prof. Tanki Somoloi. He couldn't be here today, so he sends his apologies, but he is here in spirit, so don't bind all the spirits, okay? So I want to welcome you here on this 20-year public lecture. It's a moment to reflect, to reconnect, and to reimagine. For us, it's more than just an event. It's a celebration of University of Johannesburg's journey over the past 2 decades. Just to give you a brief history, UJ was born out of ambition, a bold ambition, a merger between different legacies from something that different entities all together to something completely new. So today that vision is beginning to bear fruit, as we see here today. For example, UJ is ranked #1 in sub-Saharan South Africa. You can clap to that. It's okay. And we have cemented ourselves as a global player in sustainable development, social impact, and academic excellence. And this college, the College of Business and Economics, is actually the #1 research faculty in the whole of Africa. So that's a big deal as well. You can clap, it's fine. Okay. So we're not just celebrating longevity, we're also celebrating relevance, purpose, and progress. So within these achievements, College of Business and Economics is the largest faculty at UJ, and the School of Accounting is also the largest school, hosting most of the students, not only in size, but also in thought leadership. But particularly the Department of Commercial Accounting has continued to shape the accounting profession, both nationally and across Africa. And in today's gathering, in partnership with SNG Grant Thornton and ACCA, that's another step in that very bold journey. So well done to you. And the theme that we are gathered around today, Bridging the Gap, Accountants as Catalysts for African Solutions, is both an invitation and a challenge, a big challenge. Bridges, after all, are not just built by chance. They require structure, they require intention, and they require regulation and entrepreneurship. And of course, regulation and entrepreneurship. And of course, government. We can never leave government out. Because without government at the table, policy remains quite behind. So building bridges also means knowing where we're building from. And for us as Africans, that means asking some very hard questions. For example, what does it mean to be an African authentically? How do we honor our heritage while shedding colonial scripts that no longer serve us? What might an awakened Africa actually look like? And where our solutions and our systems and knowledge are rooted in who we are. As academics, we don't wait for the future. We actually step into it way before everyone does. We design it, we chart it, we use data, and we have to take the courage to be different as academics. We actually have a license to be courageous. And that courage is something we see reflected in our speakers joining us today. Mr. Victor Sekese, whose leadership as SNG Grant Thornton demonstrates vision and strategic commitment. Mr. Kada Piri, where are you? Oh, Mr. Kada Piri, I didn't mention you. Mr. Kada Piri, who brings SCCA's continental perspective and deep expertise in development of ethical, capable professionals. Dr. Sedzani Musundwa, a thought leader shaping African, Afrocentric accounting education and unapologetically reimagining the profession. Mr. Abed Tau, a multi-hyphenate entrepreneur, building ventures that speak to Africa's potential with agility and purpose. Ms. Seho Poche, a Malachi, a passionate academic, of course only at UJ, that's where we have a lot of passion, reminding us that transformation starts in the lecture hall, one student at a time. So together their voices and yours will help us reflect on how we can move from fragmentation to connection, from compliance to relevance, and from colonial residues to a self-defined African excellence. So as we begin today's dialogue, I invite us to think with clarity and care, and let's not only ask what accountants can do, but what they must become to be catalysts of the Africa that we want. So welcome once again, and thank you for being part of this bridge building commitment. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Hosanna. Next, we are going to have a welcome on video from Prof. Ben Marks, who couldn't be with us today.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great privilege to welcome you tonight as the Director of the School of Accounting to this phenomenal public lecture tonight, hosted by incredible friends of the Department of Commercial Accounting and the School of Accounting. Apologies from my side that I can't be here in person. It's just circumstances beyond my control, but I can assure you I'm here in spirit and in all awareness, sharing this phenomenal event with you tonight. Just a couple of words about the School of Accounting. The School of Accounting is situated within the College of Business Economics. The College of Business Economics is the largest college faculty within the university. And then within the College of Business and Economics, we've got a School of Accounting. And in the School of Accounting, we've got two departments, the Department of Accountancy and the Department of Commercial Accountancy, which are hosting this phenomenal event tonight. The School of Accounting, we have about 10,000 students, and we are presenting courses and curriculums and modules to our students from certificate level and to PhD level. We've got phenomenal staff in the department that's dedicated, committed to the success of their students and their well-being, and excels in what they do. We've got phenomenal students, and we are dedicated as a school to do our utmost best to make sure our students excel and become the leaders in the business world of tomorrow. Give them a real world curricula, a real world class teachings and learnings. But back to tonight, just from my side as well, welcome for putting this phenomenal guest lecture together. It's going to be impactful, it's going to be meaningful, and we're all going to derive so much value from it. Thank you all so very much for the phenomenal work they do through teaching and learning, research, making a societal impact, and making such a great contribution to education and our society at large. So with just a couple of short words, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Boitumelo, you and the team, each and every one of you that put it together. Thank you very much to our esteemed panel of tonight. And I'm gonna join you in spirit and going to be here in full attendance in absentia. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again to Prof. Osana and to Prof. Ben for the support. Nothing ever happens if your leadership is not behind you, so we really appreciate that from a commercial accounting. Now to introduce our keynote speaker, Mr. Victor Sigesi. He's the Chief Executive Officer of SNG with extensive audit and consulting experience, which spans over 28 years. And if you've read Ms. Gobodo's book, you'd get an inkling into the collaboration the two of them had in getting SNG up to being the 5th largest firm in South Africa. His experience includes the private and public sector, as well as state-owned companies. He's a leader, he's a mentor, he's a man who thinks big, pioneer, a leader and a family man. His impact on the accountancy and auditing profession spans many generations and borders and extends beyond his role of the CEO and SNG, Grant Thornton. Welcome, Mr. Sigesi. We look forward to hearing from you.
That's my speech. Yeah, thank you. You know, she's a teacher. She wants to testify. I know what I wrote here. I can speak from the cuff. And I didn't, it's my original work, Prof. I can declare it is my original work. Thank you so much. What a pleasure to be here. I am an honor. I'm so, I don't know, I can't describe my emotions, but I'm very happy to be here. Thank you, Program Director, Ms. Lulama Boyce, Dr. Nonkulego Koboto, my former boss, or my current boss? No, former boss. A visionary. I'm really glad that our paths crossed, and together we redefined legacy, we redefined history. Prof. Nkuhlu, I understand that you are signing online. I salute you, Prof. Prof. Hassan, thank you so much. We had a small conversation, and I will follow up on the conversations that we had earlier this afternoon. The head of School of Accounting in absentia, Prof. Ben Marx, the head of School of Commercial Accounting, Ms. Buitumelo Kuzwayo, ACC 8 Cluster Head, Sis Poshia Tsakani, Mkabela, fellow panelists, distinguished guests here in person and those that are online, ladies and gentlemen, students, academia, all protocol observed. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you. Earlier this year, in January, The Economist issued a sobering warning with a headline, I quote, "The economic gap between Africa and the rest of the world is growing. Business as usual will not narrow it," close quote. The report continued to project that on current trends, by 2030, that is 5 years from now, Africans could make up 80% of the world's poor. That is up from 14% in 1990. The predicted future is a mere 5 years away, as I said. We cannot, therefore, afford to be complacent. We cannot sit back and wait for this doomsday scenario to come to pass. Around the same time in January, I was in deep reflection. I was reflecting on Professor Wiseman Kuhlu's book entitled Purposeful Leadership for Africa in the 21st Century. In the book, Prof laments on the same problem, the widening gap, economic gap between Africa and the rest of the world. He, however, notes that some parts of Asia, which share similar historical legacies with Africa, have been able to narrow the gap. This did not come by some accident, but it's a result of intentional interventions that those nations took. Tonight, I'm not planning to deal with his extensive thesis. Perhaps, Program Director, we can consider that as a sequel to this lecture. Professor Nkuhlu's submissions left me asking myself, am I doing enough? Is there scope to further scale and leverage my capabilities? Is there scope to better leverage partnerships and networks to contribute towards closing this economic gap? The lecture tonight is a realization of that reflection. I'm proud that as SNG Grant Thornton, we have partnered with UJ and ACCA to contribute in our own unique way to change the trajectory of our beloved continent, Africa. Tonight, my hope, Prof, is simple. That at least some of us will live here challenged. Some of us, if not all of us, will be pushed, stretched, and be unsettled about the status quo. You referred to the status quo as well in your opening remarks. It is my desire, Prof, that we go out of here with a renewed determination to double down on our efforts to close Africa's economic gap and rewrite our narrative. That narrative must be the one of shared growth, where progress leaves no one behind. The focus tonight is on bridging the gap. Before we talk about bridging, we need to understand what gap are we talking about. We'll examine this concept from 4 perspectives. Firstly, the gap between Africa's potential and Africa's performance, what I call the opportunity gap. Africa is often regarded as the poorest continent. The question is, how can this be? When Africa is so richly endowed with natural resources, is endowed with abundance of human capital. This is a contradiction, Prof, isn't it? It's a paradox. It's a malaise that cannot be left unattended. Doing nothing is not an option. Society expects the elite, yes, it expects me and you sitting in this room to do something, to offer solutions, to do something to change the material conditions of living, to change the trajectory and ensure that every citizen in the country, every citizen in the continent has a fighting chance to experience the richness of this beloved continent, Africa. There are efforts, initiatives at the global, at the continental, and the national level to try and address the problem of this economic gap. At the global level, we have the UN Sustainable Development Goals that have a terminal date of 2030. That is 5 years from now. The goals are aimed at global issues. The goals are recognizing that the world in which we live is abnormal. There's an effort, a serious effort to normalize society at the global level. Of course, Africa and the global south need those interventions more than anybody else. They are aimed at eradicating issues like poverty, inequality, unemployment, sexism, and the likes. So in the note that you've gotten around the event today, they reference SDG 17, which talks about partnerships, these partnerships that we have to enable achievement of these goals. The second initiative, you reference it as well, is the Africa's Union Agenda 2063. I think it's Ms. Lulama that referenced it, which is aiming to achieve a more integrated, a more peaceful, and a more prosperous continent. Locally, we have our own National Development Plan. Yes, NDP, you remember NDP? How many of us remember that? It's got a terminal date of 2030 as well. The NDP aims, I remind you, are to eliminate poverty and reduce inequality, amongst others. Various progress reports at different points indicate a lack of progress in achieving these objectives. Locally, the perennial challenges of a pedestrian economic growth rate, of unemployment, abject poverty, inequality, speak to the failure of the NDP in South Africa. There's already talk about extending, reviving the National Development Plan and coming up with a new plan. The second perspective that I would like to look at in terms of this gap is on governance, what I call governance gap. The day-to-day global events at a geo-economic, geopolitical, and at a social level attest to a failing and a broken multilateral system or systems. Furthermore, critical decisions affecting Africa are often a global permacrisis. The global institutions such as the United Nations, the World Trade Organization are struggling to address today's crises. They're struggling to present workable solutions, presenting a governance gap. These structures have been criticized for marginalizing the global south and Africa in particular. The presidency of South Africa, the G20 presidency, with the theme of solidarity, equality, and sustainability, it gives us a chance to raise Africa's agency in these global institutions and in the global arena. Although it has been widely reported and criticized that G20 lacks implementation mettle, I believe that we should use the platform to advocate for Africa and advocate for Global South case and causes generally. We should assert our agency and shape solutions grounded in our own context and through the lens of our values. The third perspective is trust, what I call the trust gap. Elderman conducts an annual survey that attempts to measure public trust in social institutions. 2025, Elderman themed the crisis of grievance, paints a troubling picture. I've just highlighted a few stats comparing South Africa to the rest of the world at various elements. The first measure is a measure of grievance, generally. 71% of South Africans are aggrieved. They believe that the system is rigged in favor of the privileged. The system is rigged in favor of the elites, and the rich are getting richer. This is 71% compared to 61% globally. 40% is consistent in this case, South Africa and the globe. 40% condone hostile activism. 40% of the people polled believe that public violence and destruction of property is a legitimate form of protest. That's worrying, eh? 40% borders, 50% prof. So this is a warning. It's a warning, really, and a sense of agency that we need to do something to address serious societal issues. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Locally, the June 2021 riots was just a foretaste of what it could be, the devastation that we can get into if we don't address real issues, day-to-day issues that society faces with. We do not want to get into a situation where the majority of the people feel that they've got nothing else to lose and they go amok. This is a very dangerous situation, Program Director, that needs to be avoided by all means. The other statistics that I would like to highlight is trust in government. You'll see that society in South Africa lags behind globally in terms of the trust that they have in agreement. Say, poultry, 36% of people polled trust government. This is 4 percentage up from last year. And the differential, the 4% differential, is attributed to the hopes that people had on the national government of unity. It will be interesting to watch how we perform next year when the 2026 stats come out. There's general complaint, and it's all known, around crime, corruption, and weak institutions. Those serve as contributing factors. It is unfortunate to note that corruption seems to be accepted as a given in our dispensation. In almost every sector, it's normal to talk about the mafia in a particular sector. We hear about the construction mafia. Now you hear about the water mafia. Kanti, what are we getting ourselves into now? It's normal. No, it's construction mafia. Extortion from all levels. You turn the corner, there's extortion all the time, every time. Sort of accepted as normal. Now, you would have thought, we've all witnessed the Zondo Commission, where people were called to account. And you will think that there will be some remorse, there will be a change of mindset, there will be change of behavior. Then COVID-19 came. Guess what? Hey, looting of untold proportions. COVID-19 procurement that was abused and channeling funds to personal pockets. And of course, we see what is happening now, the cases that are taking place. This corruption is going around unabated. The interesting one, though, Prof, is trust in business, especially in South Africa. I must say I was surprised about that one. 68% of people trust business. They still trust business. They have believed that business can deliver some solutions. So this is a call for us that are in business, those that are aspiring to business, that as we go into business, we need to be mindful that we've got a duty to serve humanity over and above what we do for business. Because there's trust in there. And we accountants are the beacon of trust. The fourth and the last gap that I'd like to interrogate, Program Director, I don't have a timer. I'm still okay? Yeah, okay, I'm still okay. Is the professional gap? So for too long, accountants have been in the back office. They've been regarded and known as scorekeepers, known as bean counters. In the recent past, however, there's been demands that accountants must come out of the back office. They must take center stage. They must take front stage. Because, Sisposia, of the training that you give accountants now, Sisposia, Prof, UJ. I heard somebody talk about critical thinking. Is that you? You said critical thinking. So the training that we give our accountants should not lie to waste, should not go to waste, because our training is high quality, high caliber. And yes, there is more that accountants can do, must do, other than bean counting. They need to come, take center stage, and realize the potential of being catalyst for transformation, catalyst for change. Professor Wiseman Kutlu is a shining example of how this can be realized. As it was acknowledged earlier on, being the first African black chartered accountant rooted in academia and public practice, he spread his wings into business and was doing well, succeeding in business. But when the time came, he sacrificed his business endeavors and took civil service, went into civil service. He served with distinction, advising President Mbeki as the economic advisor. In that era, South Africa experienced economic growth rates that are yet to be repeated. I think he deserves an applause now. Prof did not stop there. Later on, during his retirement, he unselfishly suspended his well-deserved retirement and took the lead to reinstate the trust in the auditing profession. He was doing it not for himself. He didn't need to do it. He needed to take rest for all the hard work that he'd done, but he abandoned, suspended those plans and came out, rose his hand when everybody was hiding, when everybody was running for cover. He came out in the front like a soldier, like this bean accountant that is coming from the back office into the center office. But he didn't get into the center office. He went into the front office and did it for all of us. He deserved another hand of applause. But he never ceased to amaze me, as if he hasn't done enough. Prof, he continued to write books. He wrote 2 books, or 3 books, if I'm not mistaken, whilst fixing the profession. Eh? You know what it takes to fix the profession? Like a true academic, he said, these learnings cannot be left. We need to document these learnings so that the mistakes cannot be repeated. He penned it on paper in the book so that we can learn. The experiences around the profession. I need to make a public acknowledgement, Kada. I reference his work in my thesis. A brilliant piece of work. As if that was not enough, he wrote this book now recently around purposeful leadership. A very brilliant book that tries to address this economic gap that we are experiencing, these societal challenges. He's offering a solution that we should take note, because he contends that the way we are going, we're not going to close the gap. And unfortunately, the way we are going, the economist's predictions will be realized. But today, my call is to call upon all of us that are here, that are online, all accountants, anywhere, everywhere where they are, to rise up to say, not on our watch. This prediction can't happen. It can't be that Africa, the wealthiest continent, and yet the poorest continent, producing 80% of the world's poor. It stops with us. It stops with this generation. That's my call tonight. So Prof helps us in the book. He also makes a clarion call to the readers, to the audience, for all of us, the elites, especially the elites, me and you, to embrace African values, Ubuntu, to be other-centered and not self-centered, to serve humanity with excellence, to move beyond self-interest, but to go beyond and impact society in everything that we do. So it is projected by 2050, Africa's population will reach about 2.5 billion people. Does not come on its own. So there could be a negative or positive dividend. I see the accounting professors are looking at me funny. Because dividend can only be positive, isn't it? But I posit this evening that dividend can be positive and can be negative. It's positive if we manage to feed these 2.5 billion people. It's positive if we are able to clothe these 2.5 billion. We are able to educate them, and we are able to empower them to reach their potential. Alas, it's negative if we fail to feed them, if we fail to clothe them, if we fail to house them, if we fail to educate them, and we allow poverty, we allow unemployment to grow. That's negative. The good news is Sis Portia is going to share with us the results of the annual ACCA Talent Trends Survey. It shows that most African accountants have entrepreneurial ambitions. Accountants in the room, am I seeing entrepreneurial ambitions? Make them visible, make them palpable, let me see them. Whoever thought that accountants can have entrepreneurial ambitions? The business case is here, guys. What further business case do you want? The world all over is a dwindling, aging population. In Africa, it's a young, growing population. What an opportunity. No rocket science. So tonight also is about igniting this entrepreneurial spirit. Set it to fire. Abet? Then if we do that, we can actually turn this dividend into a dividend. Now I'm conceptually correct now. That is, make it a positive one, positive dividend. This is in the context of a perma-crisis, in the context of an aging population, and all the initiatives of free trade within the continent. What a time to be a young accountant. I'm jealous. So we can change the narrative and move Africa from despair to hope, move Africa from poverty to prosperity, from potential to performance. If we ignite that entrepreneurial spirit. So I already said that we have a governance, a gap, and global governance, local governance is not working. But we as accountants are in the business of governance. At a multilateral level, we've got very credible institutions like IFEC, IASB, IASBA, and yes, of course, our lovely ACCA, which is a global organization that is uniting all accountants, regardless of creed, race, gender, location, geography. We are all united. Same IFRS standard. So we can show the world we are a model, Piri. How can it be done at a multilateral level? So we need to rise up and show how it can be done, because we as accountants, in every respect, we are in the business of trust. We are in the business of governance. Therefore, we are called to be extraordinary leaders, lead with integrity, with ethics, and serve humanity. Let us take up this calling. Because when we take our rightful place, Africa's story will change. As my colleague, Victor Commersana, reminds us, Africa can work. Africa must work. Let us be that generation that proves this to be true. Let us be the accountants who bridge the gap. For indeed, Prof, the future is accountants, and accountants are the future. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Segese, for a powerful, powerful message, highlighting our opportunities, but also speaking to our challenges. I've taken some notes, and I hope everybody else took notes. And this is what cause. When someone climbs into muddy waters where the picture was clear, and you start stamping on it, And then I'm messing up everything that you've spoken, so I'm not even going to go there. But I do hope that you have noted what he has spoken to. I think of concern is the NDP and the UN SDGs. 5 years. 5 years is very quick. So I think we can all take score on that one. But luckily for us, we still have the African Union Agenda 2063. Gives us a little bit of leeway. And I like that it's 2063 and your stats spoke to where the population will be in 2050. So it speaks even beyond that, saying we still have time and it still can be done. Medically, we are not fit if we look at those stats. We are in ICU, but we know people pull out of ICU. And what I liked about it, each one of us here hold a pen to write the story of Africa, what we want to be, what it wanted to be, and it's our narrative. It's time we took up the pen and made it our narrative. It must be a first account coming from us and not from out of the continent. It's a call to change our narrative. As he said, not on our watch. As African Union Agenda says in 2063, we must build the Africa that we want. And I want you to we normally reflect, but I want you to throw forwards to 2050. And think about what legacy that you want to leave behind for the future generations. So as Mr. Sigesi, Mam Kobodo, Prof. Wiseman watch us now, we are the legacy in their lifetime. So what is our legacy for 2050 and 2063 in our lifetime? I'm now going to call on Ms. Portia Tsakane Nkabela. Ms. Portia is the cluster head of ACCA in Southern Africa. She holds a Bachelor of Training and Development degree, Project Management and Skills Development Facilitator qualifications. She has studied at a number of universities, holds memberships with the Board of People Practices and the Institute of Directors. She's a former skills development facilitator that specialized with Telkom Center for Learning, the Automotive Industry Development Center as a senior executive in the Skills Development Unit and was the head of that division. She's currently the cluster head of ACCA Southern Africa, responsible for the development of the accounting and auditing profession. She was instrumental in the attainment of IRBA accreditation for ACCA in South Africa, a project which she managed to spearhead between the years of 2021 and 2023. A project that she is very passionate about, changing the narrative and expanding the opportunities for ACCA members and future members. She's passionate about social development. You see why we are so close to her, and guiding the youth to take advantage of opportunities which have a positive impact through education opportunities available. Please welcome Ms. Nkabela.
You're supposed to be walking me up, so he knows he's not getting his bonus this year. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is such a pleasure to acknowledge what Dr. Victor Sigesi has just told us. I think you have given us a challenge that truly aligns to the global talent trends. It speaks to the global world, but it also speaks to Africa. So we made it a point that reports that are developed from a global perspective, they also speak to the African child. We can't be taking things from a global perspective and applying them in our own continent. So when we send out those research requirements, please respond. because that's where we get the data. Now, my job is very short, but Ntate Kerzner, allow me to acknowledge the fact that they out certain elements, right? The first one was working patterns. The second one was the cost of living, AI and technology, equity, diversity and inclusivity, mental health, and global mobility. That was a 2024 report. Now let's look at the 2025 report. What's the difference? There's additional items that came out of this report, right? Our third edition of this global research pulls together the data, insights, and perspectives that have been shared over 10,000 respondents from 175 countries around the transforming world of work and emerging career aspirations within the profession. 30% of the countries represented in 2025 survey are from Africa. It can be. We need 90% of respondents from Africa so that we take that data and use it and pen it forward. And the report really looked at enabling us to capture key insights on workplace patterns, Bravik, skills, fears, and perspectives that would help shape careers and impact of the profession in Africa. I am delighted that S&G is an approved employer for ACCA. What that means is that S&G understands the essence of the profession, not necessarily where you are affiliated to. So with this partnership for us, it then opens up the global opportunity. It opens up opportunity for our own children to actually learn and take skills from a global perspective. But we also need to set the agenda for Africa. And accountants need to respond to the challenges of Africa. According to the 2025 report, results highlight the following trends. I'm going to start with the first one. The first highlight is that accountancy is a gateway for building entrepreneur skills, as Bravik has said. With over half of the respondents, which is 52%, they indicated that they have career ambitions to be entrepreneurs, and it's clear that many see accountancy as a natural springboard to eventually running their own businesses in the future. And 56% of our ACCA members are running successful businesses. That now tells you, and I want to ledge on what you've said, Bravik, that people still believe that business will make the right decision. However, it has to come from an ethical lens. I think we are challenged as South Africa. I'm sure all of you are watching ENCA. The commission that's taking place now, for me, I'm a bit worried to say, where are we going as a country? So if 56% of ACCA members are running successful business, it means there is correlation that people still trust business. But it's not only the fact that they trust business, they trust accountants and auditors. It is our duty to maintain that decor, Bravik. We cannot be compromised within this profession. If we are compromised, this country will go down. So that's the first highlight of the report. The second highlight is that there is a rise of a side hustle for Gen Zs. Isn't it? While you're working for S&G, you also have your side hustle, right? A survey shows that 43% of the Gen Zs respond to work, and 39% across all age groups suggest that they are now engaged in additional employment to their main jobs. The key reasons cited by younger respondents pursuing concurrent roles are earning a supplementary income and diversifying their income streams. but we need to do that responsibly. S&G wants their work done, then you can do your side hustle at your own time. Correct, Bravik? So if you look at the additional report is hybrid working. It didn't come out in the 2024 report, but it's coming strong within the 2025 report. Hybrid work preference remain an elusive for many. 3 years ago, of track data from our annual Global Talent Trends, the trend survey suggests that workers' demand on hybrid working are still not being met. Over 3/4 of respondents, which is 76%, want hybrid working arrangements, yet over half of 51% are still working in the office. What that means is that the employment space is not adjusting to the Gen Z requirements. But I'm going to say that again, we do that responsibly. The fourth area that the report looks at is ageism in accountancy, not gender. Right? Leadership inclusivity indicates a score. Apologies. I'm not aligning to sustainability requirements, right? With the papers that I'm printing. With most respondents are seeing that their leaders as having integrity and being accessible, yet there are elements of inclusivity agenda that continues to cause concern. 40% of our respondents agree that low socioeconomic backgrounds is still a barrier to progression. And that's speaking to the baby boomers, right? Those that are older within the organization. Almost half of the respondents this year, 45 to 41%, suggest that their organizations continue to focus more on certain aspects of diversity than others. Interestingly, it's inadequate recognition of older employees that tops the list of the concerns. Take care of the old. The fifth aspect of the report speaks about cost of living that continues to top the agenda, but also workplace fears. Concerns over the cost of living continue to be our Global Talent Trends Workplace Fears Index in 2025. A trend we've seen for 3 years in a row. It is an issue that is evident across the respondents, divide almost entirely agnostic of sector or country demographics. This is creating pressure for organizations in managing salary costs, with 41% of the respondents expecting an annual pay rise of at least 11%, and we're only getting less than 5%, isn't it? On an annual basis. What that means for us is that the economy is not growing as quick as we expected, but what is it that we're going to do to ensure that there is consistency of economic growth within our country? Artificial intelligence as upskilling becomes very important. Gone are the bean counting processes, Bravik. Right now, AI is taking over the space. Exactly half of the respondents are concerned that they are not developing the skills that are required for the future workplace. I'm also proud to say that University of Johannesburg is moving in that direction, and they are leading in that direction. We are moving into AI skills, and there are a number of qualifications that we'll be accrediting as ACCA in the future with UJ. Artificial intelligence is surprisingly identified as the most valuable workplace skill in demand. But 38% suggest that they are not confident in their current knowledge of artificial intelligence. While there's broad confidence in being able to apply and learn new AI skills, about 45 to 44% of respondents cite insufficient opportunities to learn about AI. So Lou, Boitumelo, you have a challenge. How do we partner to make sure that we address AI skills? Makobodo, I'm a bit challenged with the literacy level of children that are coming from school. We are, and I think Sadzani said it very well on Tuesday when we launched our first women breakfast on Tuesday, that the caliber of children that come from school to universities are being taught subjects that are not relevant to drive the economy. We have the responsibility to bring Department of Education in our discussions. 30% is not enough. What happens to the 70%, Bravik? It means that person cannot even start talking about AI, cannot even code, can't even use computers. So we are challenged in this country. In wrapping up, the seventh item in our report speaks about employability confidence. That is high. The retention challenge for employers is evident in this year's data that mirrors the employability confidence that professional accountants have, with almost 60% of respondents in work expecting their next career role to be outside of their current organization. What does that mean? Offshoring. It's taking over. But I think the responsibility that we have in our country is how do we retain those accountants to still work for our country while they're being exposed to the global world. We can't lose talent to the world. So we need to have strategies, Bravik, and I'm going to challenge you to say, how do we do that? The last aspect, as I hand over to you, Program Director, is mental health. But the report shows that there is improvement. So that means that the 2024 report, employers are actually implementing strategies to curb mental health issues, especially in the accounting and auditing space. It's clear that mental health continues to be a challenge. More positively, our mental health indicators have improved slightly in comparison to both 2023 and 2024 findings. But over half of the respondents, which is 52%, in 2025 still agree that their mental health suffers due to work pressure. There's little room for complacency, as the data suggest a relationship between poor mental health status, concerns on the adequacy of organizational support, and overall workplace satisfaction levels. Organization flight risk continues to be a key issue. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to hand over to Lulama and to the panel. Thank you.
Thank you, Sis Portia, for setting the tone of our panel. I'm actually going to move aside so that we can move the podium. Can I have the microphone in the meantime? Thank you. So Sis Portia has set the scene for us on the discussion of our panel. And as I introduce our facilitator and panelists, we are seating from my left. Is this my left? Yes. Sitting from my left. I'm going to first introduce our facilitator, Mr. Kadapiri. And as I introduce, I'm going to try and shave some seconds. Please start walking up as I'm speaking. Maybe let me stand aside to open the way. So Mr. Kadapiri is a professional accountant with over 15 years experience in external and internal audit business, development, governance, risk and control on the African continent. He holds a Master of Commerce in Accounting from the Northwest University and is a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. In our South African language, is a CA from ACCA. He's currently working as a licensing officer at ACCA, responsible for monitoring the standard of workplace training obtained by students and members who are training for ACCA qualifications. And the role that he provides supports the authorization and accreditation teams to ensure consistent monitoring of all approved employers is undertaken, irrespective of geographical location of the organization. Thank you, Mr. Kadapiri. We welcome you. Next up, I'm going to call Dr. Sedzani Musundwa, CASA. She's a senior lecturer in financial accounting at the University of South Africa, UNISA, and a thought leader in transformative accounting education. She's a CA with a PhD in accounting sciences. You know, those are few and far between, eh? We're breaking ground to be CAs, now we are breaking ground to be PhD holders. Her research spans accounting education, diversity, equity and inclusion, feminist theory, and Afrocentric scholarship. Did you ever think you'd hear that about accountants? She leads the where am I now? She leads the feminist, womanist, and Mosadi theorization's critical niche area at UNISA, and serves on several editorial boards, including Critical Perspective of Accounting and Journal of Accounting in Emerging Economies. Dr. Musundwa has delivered keynotes globally, including for ACCA, African Accounting and Finance Association, known as AFA, and the American Accounting Association, amongst others, and published in A-rated journals, such as the Accounting and Auditing and Accountability Journal and Accounting Horizons. When you start doing research, that all makes a lot of sense. It just says she's an esteemed researcher. Her current work seeks to reimagine accounting scholarship through African epistemologies to make the profession more inclusive, contextually relevant, and globally engaged. So rewriting the stories from our context, from our voices. Welcome, Dr. Musundwa. Next up, I'd like to welcome Mr. Abed Dau, seasoned entrepreneur, investor, and business leader with a proven track record in building and scaling ventures across technology, property, and professional services. So, Mr. Sigese, we do have them. He's the founder of Tamani Group Holdings, which is a diversified investment and consulting group, and the driving force behind several successful ventures, including Lemi Technologies, an all-in-one social and business productivity platform for entrepreneurs. And Peak Heights, a growing property investment enterprise. Maido, a business incubation business. Tamani Assurance Inc., an audit, advisory, and accounting practice. Silicon Maboneng, a technology development company. So he's got more than one side hustle. His career spans strategy consulting, business incubation, and investment structuring, with a strong focus on empowering entrepreneurs and unlocking value in high potential markets. He's a published author of Searching Through Dustbins, where he shares his insights, lessons, and real-world stories from his entrepreneurial journey. With his work, bridging startups, corporate ecosystems, and global networks, Abed continues to shape ventures that create lasting impact, delivering value to stakeholders while inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs. I think we must pat ourselves on the back. Dr. Musundwa and Abed are UJ alumni. Then we'd like to welcome Ms. Sekhupuche Malachi. She's also a chartered accountant, CASA, with more than 10 years of academic experience. She is currently a senior lecturer at the University of Johannesburg in the Department of Commercial Accounting, where she teaches auditing modules. She started her career in Limpopo and completed articles at the Auditor General of South Africa, AGSA, providing her platform to engage directly with those entrusted with public funds. Sekgophutse is passionate about education and research. Her motto is to see students not having the same struggles that she encountered by leveraging available teaching approaches that put students at the center of education. Sekgophutse is also a PhD candidate, focusing on sustainability accounting. Welcome to our panelists. Can I also ask Mr. Sekese to please join them on the last chair? And Kada, I hand over to you.
Thank you, Lama. The pressure to do a PhD is now, and to become an alumni of UJ is speaking to me, to my spirit. As Prof said, don't bind all the spirits. I will not bind this one. Yeah. Thank you. Bra Victor, you've set the scene. Okay. And I will not start with you because you've spoken. I want you to grab some air, but I'll come to you. Yeah. But I think I'll start with Sedzani. I'll start with you because you're sitting close to me. So, okay. Yes, yeah. And there's something that Bra Victor said about trust in business. And then the report also says that 80% of professional accountants are aspiring to be entrepreneurs. And then Bravik also said 80% of the poor will be in Africa by 2030. So there's an 80% and 80%. One is a positive dividend, one is a negative dividend, to quote your words. Yeah. So, Sedzani, I want you to speak from your experiences as well, as an academic, as a researcher, on what are you seeing in terms of the students that are coming through, and what are the opportunities and what are the skills that they would need to embark on a career in entrepreneurship?
Thanks, Kada. I thought you were going to ask me about those numbers. It's like 80, like, sorry, can't help you. I'm lost. I don't do numbers. I have a PhD in the sociology of accounting. Sociology, the people. So I'm glad it's not about the numbers and it's about the people. So I think even when Tate Victor was speaking and I heard entrepreneurship, I can almost guess that from a student perspective, when they hear entrepreneurship, they hear, I'm going to start a shop and I'm going to be selling things. That's exactly where your brains went, right? That's all they hear when they hear entrepreneurship. However, from an accounting perspective, right, when we talk of entrepreneurship, we talk about you being an entrepreneur where you are. So whether I'm an FM, whether I'm a CFO, so think of the skills that we give you in class for you to develop, right? Financial literacy skills and everything that complements that, right, is there to develop you to be able to manage yourself before you can manage others. And so entrepreneurship is how you see yourself, in your words, how you brand yourself so that you are palatable to the economy that we need to grow. If we're all selling, who's going to buy? It's not possible, right? So we all need to consider that we need to be positioned within businesses as well to be able to sell the business through who we are individually. And so I do think we already have the skills in place, supplemented by the move to, I know the market likes to call it soft skills. They're not soft, they're hard. Teaching you how to talk to people, teaching you how to engage with people, teaching you how to sell. We don't need to teach you that because you guys like branding is your thing, right? But branding responsibly, what are you selling? And most importantly, to teach you accountability. Because I think we also forget the definition of accounting. Entrepreneurship needs a high level of accountability. You are answering to people. I still teach first-year students, and in every lecture, I'm like, we need to talk about the definition of accounting. It is to account to others, to third parties. And for some reason, that gets lost somewhere in translation. So yeah, I think those are the important skills.
Thank you, Sedani. You've set the scene. Abedi, you are an entrepreneur. You've heard what she said. You are an employer, plus you are an entrepreneur. What would you say in your experience? What would you share with us?
No, for sure, and thank you for the question. I think the imperative of entrepreneurship is actually a problem that needs to be addressed societally. It's not just a problem that we must deal with from a workplace or young people wanting to be entrepreneurs. I think it's actually like a social cause. 68% of people in America are employed by small businesses. And the stats were released by Stats SA 2 weeks ago that we're now at about 36% unemployment in South Africa, which means that 1 in 3 people that you bump into are unemployed. 61% of young people between the ages of 18 to 34 are unemployed, which means that 2 in 3 people at that age caliber are unemployed. So it's important that we start recognizing that entrepreneurship is not a social construct that we are imagining to be this thing that is esoteric. It's something that is urgent that we need to be fostering, not just at SNG, not just at university level, but we have to have it societally. I was in Finland in 2016, and interestingly, Finland has a population of 5.7 million people. We have 65 million, so they have 60 million less people, but we have the same GDP. And here's the difference. Their big focus areas are 2 areas, education and entrepreneurship. So, and I'm not going to get into the pedagogical approaches of their education, but they rank 1, 2 annually in science, maths, innovation, technology. On the entrepreneurship side, government there encourage young people to start businesses with massive grants, but you can only get a grant if your solution is exportable. Think about that, right? Like, think about what that does to a young person who's 13 and is told that you can only get a grant if your solution changes not just Finland people, but the world. Think about what that does to your mind. A couple of years ago, FNB launched an innovation challenge with a R1 million ticket prize for the winning team. Today, that solution is called eBucks, and it's paid out 20 billion rand to 7 million of its members in rewards, and it's arguably the best rewards program. But again, that's entrepreneurship, talking to what Sadzani was talking about, to say we need to be fostering this stuff wherever we are and whatever roles we play in society, because if we're not doing that, you're going to miss out on innovation. There's this famous quote that I love talking about where I say, you can't build a reputation based on what you're going to do. A lot of organizations tell us about the things they're going to do or that they are going to innovate. The people that you have come to respect in your own lives are the doers. And some of the things that we need to be encouraging young people to do, especially the people in this audience, is to try, to experiment. And us as employers need to create fostering environments to say, how do we safely allow for entrepreneurs to exist in our ecosystems? Because if we are not doing that, we are allowing a system whereby we say retrenchment is the first time you must try entrepreneurship. We are saying that unemployment is the first time you must try unemployment. But if you allowed it to happen at UJ, if you allowed it to happen in your organizations, you might be building your own eBucks by the innovation that you allow for young people to do.
Yeah, that was a lot of information to process. There were numbers there, and I'm glad that Sedzani said that she's not into numbers anymore. She's a social accountant. But Seho, you might have something to say about that because you have a solution to what has been spoken about, the gap between the learning environment and the working environment. Can you share with us about that solution?
Thank you very much. And I think it's even better because the first 2 speakers have already indicated some of the challenges. And I'm thinking from an educational perspective, we need to now start focusing on developing content that is really understandable to students, but again, addressing the skills that are required by the industry. But most importantly, the soft skill, I think Dr. Sezani is calling them hard skills. So soft skills becomes very much important. And what I think we've noted recently is a lot of young people are getting released from employment, I think during the first month or 2 months, because they lack what we call soft skills, such as they have poor communication, they can't talk to their manager when they're not coming, lack of punctuality, and you list them, the list goes on and on. And I think recently I've been engaging with someone that is working in public practice, and he was, I think, indicating frustrations to say, I think this young generation really don't get it, because he shared a story whereby there was this young person that told the manager herself to say, can you please stop sending me meeting invites on my calendar without talking to me first? And then she suggested that next time you want to book a meeting in my calendar, you need to first call me, tell me what the meeting is all about, and we'll conversate as to whether I'm available or not. Okay, I think as much as we're laughing about it, it's the realities that are happening, right? And then having said that, and again, it's just question us as academic, because the traditional teaching and learning, whereby educators more often, they're focusing on delivering the content to students, they're sitting in front, they regard themselves as the only bearers of knowledge, do not develop those kind of soft skills. And research has shown that things like group projects, also known as assignment, they have a capability to develop some of the skills which are soft, such as like your collaboration, the teamwork, critical skills, adaptability, ability to present, being able to present oral reports, and I think, again, the list goes on and on. So I think I'm lucky enough because I'm teaching auditing, and I'm together with a team that I think we share the same passion. I'm lecturing with Mr. Lesiro Khumalo and Mrs. Khumalo Machika in absentia. And I think that together with the team, we're not here yet, but we're trying. Remember, they said we need to take a center stage, which means we need to start somewhere. So what are we doing with our students is, throughout the years, what we did is we developed a group project as part of the teaching and learning. So our colleagues, they told us, tough luck, good luck. And why they said that is because group projects are a lot of work, especially when you now incorporate them in the teaching and learning that is doing. So our group project, I think, went through many developmental stages throughout the years, changing every year as we try to check how can we make better students. But what is more exciting is, for the first time this year, our group project took a certain turn where now we are doing it with real small businesses. And why did we do that? Because we wanted to make our auditing subject more relatable, more understandable for purposes of the students, because sometimes they don't understand the auditing language that we're using. So we thought if they could engage with these people, it could even be better for them. And then again, at the same time, develop those soft skills, but also impact the community at the same time. So can you see? So it becomes a whole cycle of saying, because we're talking a lot of things like lack of employment, poverty, and everything, the small businesses are struggling. So through the engagement with the small businesses, we identify that some of the skills that they are lacking is the skills that we accountants have, because they don't know how to prepare records. I'm not even talking financial statements. They don't know how to track their records, and they were calling to say, guys, can you please assist us? While we know that some of the challenges facing them is lack of funding, but another challenge is they don't know how to put a proper document together when that funding is advertised, so that they can sell themselves, maybe win the funding. So the challenges are very very real, and they all touch on maybe these businesses are not sustainable. But as accountants, can we, in our various corners, gather our skills and help these small businesses? Because I have a belief that if small businesses are growing, the poverty line can be minimized because they will create employment, and at the same time, our skills are better. The whole ecosystem of sustainability could be met. Thank you very much.
So I can relate to that. In 2018, I joined SCCA, and when I joined SCCA, I was a business development manager. And a business development manager is a salesperson and develops a relationship. I was coming from an environment where I was doing internal audit, risk, and all those things. I was doing that very well. And then they're asking me to sell something. Okay. The way my mind had to shift, my brain had to shift and to think differently. It was a huge shift in my life. But I'm grateful for the opportunity that the SCCA gave me to do that, because I learned that speaking, being able to relate to others, being able to develop relationship with others is a skill that everybody needs in future. Yes. Okay, networking, that's why we are here. Okay, networking, I learned that those skills are important because accountants, we deliver work and then we go, we deliver a report, then we go. I learned the hard way that these are the skills that you need. And I get a lot of people who contact me through LinkedIn and ask, how did you get into business development, but you're an accountant? Okay, and I tell them that it was a huge mind shift that I had to, because I had worked in accounting and technical stuff for so many, but I've never had to deal directly with clients and to listen to them. So one of the person I've been listening to is Bravik, who spoke about, because you spoke something about auditing, who spoke about auditing as a product. And you know that we can't advertise audit services, eh? Yes. So Bravik, can you share with us now, how isn't that an impediment on us accountants, because we don't learn how to develop business, but how do you develop business as an auditor when you can't advertise your services, but then you need to develop the business? Because that's one thing that Seho has spoken to.
Yeah, no thanks, Kada. It's a very good question, because you're right. Our regulatory framework does not allow us to, to stand on the streets like you stand saying, auditing is cheap, again, 10%, 15%. We can't do that. So, and basically, I think it's the legacy of professions like lawyers. You can't tout for business. But however, we used to have a payoff line years back in our journey as we evolved as a firm. And we are trying to assert ourselves that we are here because, those days, early days, people will always be skeptical about you to say, are you really, can you do this work and etc.? Say, yes, I've qualified, I've passed the same exams as everybody else. And when I was at the big firm, I was doing the work. Now I'm on my own. Now I can't do the work anymore. So we organize a payoff line within the firm. It's almost say, mentero ya bula bola. And it was more impressed on us, and it was an ethos that we go by to say, let's just do the best that we can be the best that we can be, perform to our potential. Then word will go around quickly to say, those guys, you're poorer without them. And then that's how we really, although we don't reference that say directly, but that's how we carry ourselves out. To say every assignment, it's a testament of what we can do, what we can deliver, the impact that we have with our stakeholders and etc. Just focus, be excellent in what you're doing. Yeah. And of course, that the profession has been under a lot of severe scrutiny for the wrong reasons. and we're impressed that if we can go back to basics accountability and be ethical, then the issues of audit quality will take care of themselves. And that's the ethos that we try to implement. And is that your quality, the quality of the work that brings you more business? Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I think it says that the way the service you deliver, the way you treat your clients, your accountability, which will go back to the principles, go back to the basic principles and deliver what you promise to deliver, and in an ethical manner. I think that's what is important to understand. Yeah, thanks for that wise words of wisdom. Thank you. Sejana, I'll come back to you. I think there's a lot of sustainability being discussed in the report. And I think when we were doing our dry run, I know I've read some of the things that you speak. I've seen your videos as well. You speak about homegrown solutions. I'm also one person, I spoke at an event, Portia remembers, I spoke about sustainability, and I said we're focusing on sustainability reporting and assurance. Okay, and I said, but Africa has got all those problems that Bravik you have said about. Okay, so what does sustainability mean in an African context, and where does our journey for sustainability start? Because professionals are saying we want a career in sustainability, but is it sustainability reporting and assurances, trading carbon debts? Portia speaks about zero carbon and anything SCCA is doing there, but I want you to, because the young people hate sustainability, so I want you to bring it back to Africa, because that's one thing that will also help us to bridge the gap in Africa. Thank you.
Thanks, Kara. So I think one of the things that have been said in the room today is that we take a lot from the West, right? So what the West says, we do. In the accounting profession, we run around saying, we're number one in the world, based on the international financial reporting standards. But how do those standards apply in Africa? Right? They're like, we don't know. Ask the auditing lecturers. They do it in the auditing module. That's the standard answer you tend to get, that the auditors, right, and the auditing module will deal with it. Then you speak to the auditing lecturers, and I've been one in my past life. Do you do sustainability? Yes, we do. What do you do? Corporate governance, King report. And, right, it can't stop at corporate governance. Even within the word itself, something there is very wrong. We're saying we're only looking at corporates. We've just said earlier on in this room, without involvement of government, policy becomes difficult, implementation of policy becomes difficult, which means when we're framing governance around corporate governance only, we've ignored the sustainability of us as a society. I think Abed spoke to that. Us as Africa, us as the continent. And so even if you go into corporate, so at an academic level, I think we're getting it wrong as higher education institutions, and that's me taking accountability for what I teach my students, right? I'm not removing myself. From a corporate perspective, when we look at financial statement disclosures on sustainability, it's climate change. This is Africa, right? It's been spoken about today on multiple occasions, I think by everyone who's been up on the platform, right? National Development Plan, sustainability number 1, reduce poverty. Accountants feature dololo, nowhere, not talking about it. We don't even want to mention it. Global level sustainability development goals. If you ask any accounting student, let's leave the students actually, ask your accounting lecturers, us, what are the 17 sustainability development goals? I guarantee you're not going to get an answer. Nobody knows. What are we working towards? Nobody knows. Are we engaging it in class? Nobody knows, right? And then we say, but we're in Africa. The AU 2063 is a very serious agenda. While we do subscribe to the international SDGs, right, and we're happy with them, we've got African problems that we need to deal with. And so I'm very glad, because I then went and looked at specifically what is in the AU 2063 that we should be talking about, and it aligns with what Bravik was saying. Agricultural productivity is actually a target for Africa. It doesn't help us to have the resources, but to not use them to sustain the continent. We need to start talking about the productivity of the continent. The land we have, and I'm glad we're in STH, is also the land we need to use for travel and tourism. It's our greatest asset as a continent, right? It's a target. It's sitting there in AU 2063. None of us are aware. None of us are working towards that. Economic diversity and resilience, which is why we're talking about entrepreneurship today. What does it look like to have a diverse economy? Who contributes to the diverse economy? And you as an accountant, how do you contribute, right? And so I do think in training accountants, we do a great disservice to the country. Because everything I've mentioned now, we're not teaching. I'm telling you we're not teaching it because I know we're not teaching it. Our accounting graduates are coming out not knowing NDP, not knowing the SDGs, not knowing the AU 2063. But, as was earlier said, Kada, the entrepreneurs are here. The people with the innovative ideas are here. The people who don't want to sit in an office for 8 hours and bean count are also here. So we've got two worlds that could actually work quite well collectively to build a sustainable Africa. And so we are the skills developers. We need to meet, especially Gen Zs, where they are to be able to build a sustainable Africa. Thanks.
Thank you. That was wonderful. It's also something that I've been thinking about as well, to say what does sustainability mean for Africa as well. I think there was that just transition when they were talking about moving from coal to solar, and they were saying Africa still needs coal, because if you think about it, Abedi, I'll come to you, the Industrial Revolution was steam, electricity, okay, then computers, which was technology, then artificial intelligence that we're talking about there, okay? So there were stages that industrial development happened, industrial revolutions happened, yeah. So one of the things in the report they speak about is about AI. And where do you see AI featuring in this agenda that Bravik said, the challenge that he challenged us?
Sure. I don't know. So I'm quite a nerd internally. So I watched the 5-hour Apple release last week of their latest products, and two things struck out heavily for me. So on the earphones, the latest earphones, you are able to get translation in real life. So if you are talking to a Spanish person, you can turn the auto-translate on through the AI technology, and a Spanish person could be talking to you. I don't know if they've got it in Zulu, but a Spanish person could be talking to you, and you are hearing it in your language, real time. And you could respond to that person, and the phone will articulate back in Spanish. And that's through AI. The second thing, which was very fascinating, was the Apple Watch, and they've been doing this for the past 3 years. Your Apple Watch can detect your heart rate, your breathing rate, and last year it saved over 158,000 lives in the US because it could detect that your heart rate is irregular and calls your contacts to say, we think your father's having a heart attack. And that's how many lives just last year were saved in the US. But here's the thing, we think AI is doing this. It's humans, right? Like humans are creating this AI. And if we are not fostering AI adoption in our environments, in our workplaces, we are actually getting left behind. So the 80% stat around, Africa is going to host 80% of the future poor. I don't think they're talking about poverty just of the stomach, but I think they're talking about poverty also of the mind. If we are also not embracing technology within our workplaces and fostering young people to adopt these technologies, we are actually letting them get left behind. 2 years ago, ChatGPT released their first version of, OpenAI released ChatGPT, and it became the fastest growing platform to reach 1 million users within 1 week. And today, It receives 2.5 billion prompts a day, 600 million users per week. And I wonder how many of those come from Africa. I wonder how many of those come from this room, because here's the truth. There is no child born today that is going to be smarter than AI, unfortunately. But here's the thing, and the great thing. AI is not your competitor, it's your companion. You should be using these technologies to say, how do we innovate faster? How do we innovate our teaching? How do we innovate the way that we market ourselves because we can't market? How do we innovate and compete with the West? Because the reason why I love technology so much is that it's colorless, it's ageless, and it's actually the ultimate equalizer in that there is a kid in Soweto who can sit in a garage and come up with the AI tool that can be used in the US. It has no prejudice to where it comes from. It has no prejudice to color, to race, to creed. And we need to be doing more to embrace it. And workplaces also, as well as universities, need to be fostering a culture whereby we say, do we have AI Fridays at SNG, whereby for an hour we encourage young people to say, how does AI make your work better? How do you talk to your clients better? How do you deliver better reports with AI? We're already doing that at our organization. So we employ around just under 200 people within all of our organizations. And I'm talking from our cleaning staff. We have AI Fridays from 9 to 10 where I forbid anyone to do any work. And all they need to do is to say, can AI, ChatGPT, Claude, improve your efficiency, your productivity, your delivery to your clients? And that's all they do. And touch wood, we haven't lost a lot of clients. It means that we're doing something right across our organization. But I think what we're doing right is not the AI, it's fostering a culture of openly, continuously learning and embracing change.
Sekho, I'll come to you. I think one of the things that has also been discussed in the report is about hybrid working as well. Yeah. So in your project, have you incorporated anything on hybrid working in terms of how hybrid work, and what are the opportunities that you see and what are the challenges that you see in your SME project?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. And the nice thing is, yes, I think the group project that we're running, we also thought about the future of work, because we saw the future as not being something that you will all be physically always coming to a workplace, because I feel like organizations are looking even at ways to save money. And one of the ways to save money is not to put employees physically there. Maybe they come this day, the other day they're working from home and things like that. And we thought then it's very much paramount for our students to already be exposed to what an online or what a hybrid working environment will look like. Then what did we do is, together with my team, we've searched around, and then we come across online simulations, which now what we did is we went to those simulations and checked those that we feel like are more relatable to our content, whereby now we firstly start by a lecturer should go through the simulation and see what the simulation holds. And what we've seen is, I think around auditing, we've come across nice simulations whereby you find that the students will start by being like, there will be a manager who is there to say, I'll be your manager in this team, take the students through the business, and after that, give the students tasks to say, this is what I will be doing. So after you do that as a lecturer, then we design nice instruction for our students to say, you need to go to a certain online simulation and select exactly what we're telling you for you to do. Because what we've seen is our students, sometimes they go online and they choose their own simulation, which we didn't tell them. Therefore, it means it's no longer meeting our learning objectives. So why do we want them to do the online simulation is they get a feel, because you are online, but there's someone already, yes, pre-recorded, but talking to you to say, this is what I'll be needing from you. As a student, you need to attend those meetings, you need to action the task, and at the end of the day, I think they come up with a certificate, which they can now even attach to their CVs to say, I've been through this kind of online simulation. But in addition for that, the group project have have an element whereby we're now grouping our students to say, you need to create Microsoft Teams for yourself. So that now you need to, I think it talks about the online tools that are available there. So they create the Microsoft Teams, whereby now they're able to hold their meetings there. Then they can learn the online etiquette like muting and meeting, how to record, how to do this, early enough before they can even go to workplaces. So when now they go to workplaces, these online platforms are not going to be very new to them. They're already familiar with them, and therefore it's not like, oh my God, I don't know where to start. Thank you.
It's good that you're imparting. I mean, we've seen people in Teams meetings speaking and they are on mute. And then they say, can you mute? We've seen all that as well, yeah. So sometimes it's just forgetting. Because maybe age is catching up with us as well. But yeah, but Bravik, I'll end with you. Lulama, program director, says we must give the audience, but we'll do sort of a final round of remarks after questions as well. But I want to speak to you because I was on a task force and we're doing a staff alert at EBA for the use of AI in audit. So they did a survey, SAICA did a survey of both users and both. And one thing that struck me with that survey is that auditing firms are doing a wait and see in terms of how they use AI. So they want responsible use of AI. But then their clients said we are using AI in our work. So can you speak to how that gap is working in your field? Because all these young people might want to come to SNG one day, and then they'll say, oh, wait, AI first, we need to get our house in order. Yeah, so just speak to that.
Yes, so we where do I start? Because you've already mentioned regulatory issues concerning. So we in the auditing fraternity, you know, the confidentiality is sacrosanct. And the reason why, in auditing particularly, I'm not talking about the other parts of businesses where we've adopted AI and we've got tools that are AI-driven to make us more productive, make us more efficient. But in the auditing fraternity is how do you handle client information, which is confidential. So we are careful that we don't take client confidential information, some of which may be proprietary, put it into a machine learning process that is public. So then what we've tended to do is build solutions and platform them such that they don't become public, but they're proprietary to us. Then we run those solutions and software to interrogate client data. For instance, we are now able to audit 100% large transactions like revenue. So here at UJ, for instance, I don't know how many students you have as UJ, thousands and thousands of them, and they need to pay varsity fees. So the audit teams are able to do 100% coverage of revenue using the platforms that we've developed using AI. So we embed AI capability into our own platforms that sit on that, so that we don't compromise confidentiality of client data and proprietary thing. But we're watching it closely and carefully, and also looking at the regulatory developments around that. So you are right, there's a bit of wait and see as far as the assurance and audit business is concerned, but the advisory business or consulting business, there are no such limitations as such. Yeah.
Thank you. So now we're going to take questions from the audience. There's a question there.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let me just say I'm a product of UJ twice. She was my lecturer.
Oh, wow.
When I saw the theme, when I saw the invite, they said accountants as catalyst for African solutions. And all my life, people have been preaching about African solutions for African problems, which I love. But now, Dr. Susanna, this is for you. Second year accounting at Soweto campus, you were able to explain accounting terms in Venda and Northern Sotho to us, because you were able to identify the challenges, right? And now we're saying that us as accountants, we need to bring solutions to Africa. How do we then bridge the gap on that? Let's take a tribal council. They get money from the government, but they never account for that. And it's not like they don't know how, they don't want to. The problem is they don't know how to do that. So my questions to fellow accountants and tax people, I'm in tax now, how do we then bridge that gap? Because you know that in DRC or the French-speaking countries, they report in French. And when I sit with them, I have no idea what they're saying. I need to hire SNG or Deloitte to interpret what they're saying. So my concern or my plea is, can we bridge the language barrier issue? You're right, we need to stop adapting IFRS for the world, but how do we then bring it home to us? That's my question to you.
Sure. That's payback for that exam that I set. So I work a lot on the continent, right? And across the continent. And I think what you're explaining is actually not a language barrier. It's a cultural barrier. If you look at how we do accounting on the continent, the lines are very clear in that British colonies do accounting in the British way. We take our instruction from the UK. Hence, we follow IFRS. The French colonies follow the French accounting system. Two systems don't talk to each other, right, at all. So in trying to put the two in the room is already where we've gone wrong. And I say it's where you are diminishing what is actually happening and playing out on the continent. My plea as accountants, right, is for us to understand how we do things in Africa. Not to take what's done in the West and come and say, and I love the example you've used of the tribal council. What we're trying to do with tribal councils is say, no, according to the Western way of doing things, accountability works like this. I can promise you there's an accountability mechanism that's used there. It's just not the Western way of accounting. And we need to start by acknowledging that we do account. We just account differently to how the West accounts, right? If you read a lot of the research and a lot of the literature, the reason we align to reporting the way the West wants us to report is because we want their funding. It's tied behind that FDI. We want them to invest in us. And we saw when Trump said, tickets, not giving you money, no one asked, how can Africa come up with solutions? Or like, how can we get Trump to bring the money back? We want that money, right? And we really do need to talk about African ways of doing, or finding African ways, or finding African solutions for African ways of doing. A lot of my research is that a lot of our accountability has happened orally. And it passes down from generation to generation in an oral manner. So if you read a lot of my research, I'm trying to capture it into our history. Because we've got it orally, but we don't have it in documentation. So if we can then put it in documents to say, this is how we as Africans do business, right? I think there's been commercial banks that have tried to create stokvel systems. It's not going to work. You can try it from all angles because it works when Messi Mang Mang go next door and says, okay, guys, we are all going to put together resources. Have a funeral in an African home and just watch the accountability mechanism. It's there and it's strong. It's just not documented, therefore it's not recognized. So I'm definitely not about how do we get closer to how the West does things. No, I'm like, let's develop our stuff here.
Thank you, Dr. Sedzan. In the interest of time, I see 2 hands, 3, and that's it, right? Just in the interest of time, can we take the 3 questions and then handle them all at once? And can we keep it succinct? Thank you.
I'm going to address you as Ms. Siaka so that you know how I know you. So you encouraged critical thinking when we were younger, and I just want to address something around sustainability. And my issue is the fact that sustainability is not integrated into our curriculum. So, and it's, so as someone from the Eastern Cape, right, I think about ESG primarily from the lens of poor people, right? And it's critical for us to address climate from that point of view because the poor are not resilient. So I'll make an example. Bekukona floods eMthatha earlier on in the year, and you would know that the poor do not have enough resources to rebuild their home. While when we talk about climate, we always see abantwana like uGreta, but the real children that are affected by climate change will be umntana from a village in the Eastern Cape who will not be able to cross and get to their class in grade 2 for school. So when we talk about climate resilience, it is imperative that solutions come from rooms like this, because I know a child that literally can't get to school. I know of families eMthatha that will not be able to rebuild their rendezvous. So when people say climate change is a conceptual issue, I lose it, because it is not. It is something that we need to be talking about just action and the just transition in rooms like this, because if we don't, we are not going to have the right solutions. So to drive the point home, which sustainability modules are we incorporating? Not reporting, because it's ESG and it's environment, social, and then governance. So singekai governance, so what are we doing from that point of view? Because the work needs to start too, because governance is at the end when we are disclosing what we have done, but in the E and the S. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wolford. I'm an engineer, although in a class of accountants. I'm currently studying for my CFA, so that's why my interest in here. So there's something which is very close to my heart that we're discussing, and one of the key reasons why accountants are leading the industry. It has been an argument within the engineering sector is whether engineers should lead or accountants should lead, but we are seeing more and more CEOs being accountants. So in terms of leadership, the people that are in this room are key to setting up the vision of what Africa is going to look like in the coming years. So one of the presentations, it mentioned 80% of the people in the world that are poor will be coming from Africa. It's a very scary statistic, unfortunately very true. Why is that? 60% of the population in Africa right now is for people who are below 25 years of age. So that pretty much constitutes the people in this room. And if you're going to ask ourselves, what do we need, or maybe let's say of the less than 1 billion people that we have, how much food do we actually need to feed people across the continent? Maybe let's take it back to South Africa specifically. Do we have the statistics on hand of knowing, one, how much farmland is required? Okay, maybe let's just say it's not speaking to us as accountants. Let's speak about how much money in terms of projections do we need to buy center pivot, to prepare arable land, and is our education system addressing that particular concern? Then also, who is going to solve these problems? yes, we allocate the problems to the government, but if we are the majority, the 60%, and we don't know these things, then that statistic is very worrying. So my departure point is, what accountability are we taking individually in this room? Let's not talk about the government. Let's talk about individuals. If I'm going to ask myself personally, what am I doing to see a brighter future in Africa? Okay, let's say in 2050, that's in 25 years from now, 2.5 billion people will be from Africa. What is the future going to look like? So I think from that, in as much as the statistic is being given as something to scare us, perhaps we could look at it as an opportunity that we can leverage on. If each person in a university is aware of the statistics and how they fit into the entire narrative, then there are going to be synergies that can be created. And I think it's just one thing that I can also share with my fellow colleagues to say, if we start having that kind of mindset, then we drive forward. Yeah, personally, I have tried to implement it. I'm in the energy sector. I've been listed as one of Forbes 330 at some point, and it's something which I'm very passionate about. So maybe just thinking specifically on Africa, the National Development Plan, what things did we get wrong, and what accountability, what did we get wrong personally, what accountability from an individual perspective are we taking from that lesson, and how are we driving forward? Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tabiso. This question is aimed at the serial entrepreneur, Abid. I truly believe that entrepreneurship is the key for unemployment in our country. In your opinion, what are the barriers to this? We've got the Department of Small Business Development, I think, trying to address these kind of matters with entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship. But it just seems like we're not getting it right. So in your opinion, what do you think are the barriers, and what is the solution to the success of entrepreneurs and entrepreneurship in South Africa?
Thank you for the questions. Thank you, Tabiso. Tabiso lectured me when I was here, and he looks younger and younger. So, what are the barriers and what are the things that inhibit, entrepreneurship to thrive? I think there's a number of things, Tabiso, and I think it's a layered question. I think, for me, if you look at it from a governmental perspective, if you look at the DFIs, the guys that fund entrepreneurs, and this is not a shot at CAs, but a lot of the people that are making decisions around who to fund in terms of entrepreneurs, you find that often it's a CA sitting there. And I understand why, but here's the problem with that. If you look at globally, the people sitting at DFIs, at Sequoia Capital, at Y Combinator, who are making decisions on who to fund, it's entrepreneurs that are making those decisions on who to fund. We are choosing CAs to choose who are the entrepreneurs. Now, there's a difference in that, because if you're going to critically evaluate an entrepreneur, you must have some relatability to it. You must have some proximity to it. So I would say that the first thing we need to start introducing is, on these boards and on these decision-making trees, we need to start introducing entrepreneurs to be part of those rooms to say, beyond just the finance and beyond just the business plan, is this a jockey we can back? Because most of the time, the people that win, you're making a decision based on the person who's riding the horse and not so much anything else. And I still find that we are very conservative. I think that's number one. But I think, Tabiso, a bigger thing is that we have to foster a culture of doing. I used to write a message in my book when people used to ask me to sign it. I'd say 5 birds are sitting on a branch and 4 decide to fly off. How many are...
So what you are speaking to, we are not teaching. You are 100% correct, right? So even though we're dealing with the environment in the ESG, the topic you are speaking to is actually called climate justice, right? And overseas, they've moved far ahead. In fact, they are studying Africa. They're studying climate justice in Africa, because the extraction problems are not starting with us. We've just said we're unemployed. We're not participating in the extraction of oil and mines and. The companies are coming from overseas to come and dig here, and then leaving us sick for generations on end, no one to account to us. In fact, they don't even pay you to come and dig in the area that you live in. You're just like part of the soil that they're digging in, right? And so there's a whole research stream on climate justice, and they have actually started teaching their undergraduates that. How do you think about it? So just very briefly, and I know Lulama knows this example because I like to use it, part of the accounting curriculum is teaching on Lindt chocolate. Exclusive, most expensive chocolate in the world. But what they do for their students is they say, go and do the homework on where Lindt comes from. Who farms the beans? Who are the laborers? Are they paid for that labor, all that digging? And how does it make it into the financial statements? Because the answer is it doesn't. We're only reporting on the revenue and the cost of sales in the factory. The cost is Ghana. The cost is the African child who you've left with nothing, and yet you don't want to disclose that in your financial statements. Okay.
Thank you very much. Ulama, I'll just do one small thing. There is something on the program, if I don't do it, yeah. I know Satan doesn't like it. One word about today. Today, yeah. One word. If you would want to leave the audience with just one word.
Justice.
Okay. Abedi?
Sure. I would say let's foster curiosity. Curiosity.
So
artificial intelligence. Artificial.
Impact.
Okay. Thank you. Back to you, Lulama.
Thank you very much, Kada. And we're going to ask you for your one word. You must always be ready, hey, to take the medicine. Thank you very much, Kada. I'll give you a few moments. Thank you very much to the panelists and Kada for facilitating a mind-invigorating conversation. And, you know, we always say, and I'm sure we all sit here, especially our students, we look up to people that have made it, whatever made it is in your definition, to people in the boardrooms. We have our own boardroom here. And you had an opportunity to think about the issues that we have and to participate in the conversation. And I really hope that it doesn't end today. It doesn't end in this room. Originally, the Department of Commercial Accounting was here at APB when I started working here. So to our alumni that are here, a number of them have joined us. We are back home. We always call this a homecoming, as Usis Portia said. So really, really grateful that you've all participated in this boardroom that we have had today. Thank you very much. I'm now going to hand over, just hold on, to our head of department, Ms. Boitumelo Kuzwayo, who's going to do a wrap-up for us and a vote of thanks. You can stay there. You want them to come down? Oh, okay. So you can see the video. Yeah. Okay, come down.
Good evening, everybody. Sanbonani Dumelang. I greet you all in the name of bridging gaps as well as providing African solutions to who we are as a collective. My name is Boitumelo Kuzwayo. Thank you for joining us today. You know, you could have been, I know it comes from a song or something like that, anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here with us today. It really is a great honor and pleasure to see alumni, to see people that there's people we cycle with, there's people we walk the streets with, people we've grown with, people who have taught us, and you know, it's great to come full circle for some people. So thank you so much for joining us. Sure, today's panel, I just want to speak to a few things that really resonated with me. You know, one thing, you need to be a doer. Don't just talk, you need to act, because you need to provide solutions to some of the challenges that you have. And as Africans, that's what we need to do, to go out and do that. And we need to come up with homegrown solutions. So 2 weeks ago, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, we're in Uganda with Prof. Osana in his hometown, and I was just blown away, which then speaks to exposure. And exposure allows you to see the world very differently and in different perspectives. We complain about taxis here, 4-4 Maslalisane. In Uganda, there's 4-4 Maslalisane on a scooter, on a border. That, to me, I just felt like, and there's more borders than there are motorists. People are solving solutions. They're moving an entire town or country on motorbikes. And that's what the taxi industry has done in South Africa during apartheid, solving a solution to say, as Africans, we've been put out into the outskirts, yet we need to travel far and wide to actually get to work. Then they created taxi industries. So that's just one of the things that I'm left with today, to think about what are the solutions or the challenges that we have within our society and how are we going to solve for them. And Abed always says, don't try find a job that is sexy. You know, as accountants, we want a job that is sexy, to say, oh, I'm a CFO of this particular company. Some people are COOs of their lives, but, you know, it's neither here nor there for some people. But people are solving solutions for accommodation. People are solving solutions for transport. People are solving solutions for poverty and food. Also, another stat that Prof. Osana shared in Uganda is GMOs are forbidden, genetically modified food. The soil is rich there. She was surprised. She's like, sure, I'm so honored. As a department, we're trying to create a few firsts, and we want it to be the first of many. Let it not end there. So one of the things that I'd like you to watch is a first within our department. We've never hosted a conference. We've won the rights to host the African Accounting and Finance Association in 2026, and that's why we're there in Uganda, Kampala, a few weeks ago to accept the particular hosting. It's the first for our department, and thank you to Lulama for seeing the vision, to our deanery for supporting us, as well as to Setsani, who was also the AFA Exco for the Southern region from 2023 to 2025, which speaks to collaboration. We need to work together as a collective. So please take a few moments to watch the video.
Greetings to the African Accounting and Finance Association community. On behalf of the University of Johannesburg, I'm both honored and delighted to accept the nomination to host the 2026 AAFA Annual Conference. This is a significant recognition, not just for UJ, but for South Africa, as we continue to position ourselves as a hub of academic excellence and intellectual leadership on the continent. We are excited to welcome scholars, practitioners, and thought leaders in accounting and finance from across Africa and beyond to our vibrant campus.
As the College of Business and Economics, we are very proud to support this prestigious gathering of Africa's finest minds in accounting and finance. We look forward to co-creating a rich, inclusive, and forward-thinking program that not only reflects the depth of the expertise in our field, but also inspired future generations of African scholars. We can't wait to welcome you to Johannesburg in 2026.
As Director of the School of Accounting at the great University of Johannesburg, I'm honored that our institution has been nominated to host the 2026 ALPHA Annual Conference. This is not only a privilege for our school, but also a reflection of the trust placed in UJ's growing leadership in the accounting and finance disciplines across the continent.
In the Department of Commercial Accounting at UJ, we are committed to nurturing excellence in accounting education, practice, and research. Hosting this AAFA conference gives us the opportunity to engage with a wide network of African scholars and practitioners, to share knowledge and to collaboratively tackle the evolving challenges and opportunities in our field.
This moment reflects our long-standing dedication to building strong networks, advancing relevant research, and cultivating graduates who lead with excellence. AFA 2026 will amplify African voices and ideas that shape the global conversation. We are excited to welcome you to Johannesburg, a city of diversity, resilience, and opportunity. See you at UJ in 2026.
As academics, our responsibility is not only to generate knowledge, but to make that knowledge matter. This conference offers a platform to share research that is bold, solution-driven, and rooted in African realities. We look forward to creating a dynamic and inclusive platform in 2026, one that fosters dialogue, innovation, and professional growth for the next generation of African accounting leaders.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor to welcome you all to the great University of Johannesburg.
Thank you so much. So we do look forward to hosting it. We're getting a few gray hairs already, but you know, we'll be fine come September 2026. Another thing that I'd like to speak to before I close off and do the thanks. A lot of our students here are our alumni, and some of the challenges that they face is registration fees, especially returning students. And as a department, we felt like, sure, we need to try do something, even if it's 10 Rand, 20 Rand, whatever it might be. So we came up with an idea to do crowdfunding, to say, let us try assist our students to get registration fees. That's usually one of the biggest barriers that our returning students have, over and above the fees that they have that aren't paid for. And we try raise it for deserving students. So for the past 3 years, we've done a few campaigns. A few of us have run comrades to raise the funding. We've done 2 team triathlons where someone said, I can swim, I can cycle, I can run. And we put 2 teams together and we did a triathlon as a team, speaking to soft skills, which can be hard, and working together as a team. And some colleagues are here actually in the room who have actually participated, and we try to do it also through people within the department, but through collaboration. We call them Friends of DCA. So I'd just like to show you one last video of the campaign that we're doing, and we would appreciate if you can spread the word and for you to assist us in trying to make a change for our students.
Welcome to the Department of Commercial Accounting's fundraising initiative. My name is Charlotte Mamadi, and I'm a lecturer at the University of Johannesburg and in the Department of Commercial Accounting, DCA. For many students, the dream of studying at the University of Johannesburg is threatened by one challenge, and that is the cost of the registration fees. For the past 3 years, us, the Department of Commercial Accounting, DCA, have decided to take an action. Together with our staff, the alumni, and the friends of DCA, we have ran the marathons, different marathons. We have cycled the streets of Johannesburg and also completed the triathlons with one goal in mind, which was to raise funds for the deserving students for their registration. This initiative is more than just fundraising. It is a movement. It is about building unity, hope, and the future where no student is left behind because of finances. As the youth and our future leaders, we want to keep them in the classroom or in the lecture room. That is why we have this initiative started. With your support, we can go far. Every donation tonight contributes directly to the registration fees, And every pledge is a step towards inclusive education. Every gift is an investment in South Africa's future.
Thank you so much. So I'll end the evening today by doing a few thank yous. I'll call everyone one by one, and please don't leave the stage. We'll offer you a gift as well as take a group picture. First of all, to Ntate Victor Sekese, thank you so much for your wisdom. NgesiZulu kuthiwa indlela ibuzwa kwabaphambili. And you shared your wisdom with us today. We thank you so much. You have experience longer than some of the alumni in this room in terms of 28 years of experience. And thank you for sharing it with us. Setsani always says that, our African history is not documented. So you're sitting next to someone who's written 5 books. We plea that you document your history and your life so that it lives beyond you. So I'd like to thank Ntate Victor Sekese. Can you please come up? Next person I'd like to thank is Kada Piri. You were a great facilitator. Thank you for keeping us engaged and intertwining the different facets of the people who are here. So thank you so much for that. He's double my height. And I'm wearing heels. Thank you. The next person I'd like to bring up to stage is Dr. Setsani. Thank you for always, she is the, I wouldn't say the abnormal, who defines normal. So she's not abnormal, but maybe that's the wrong word to use. She's an accountant who doesn't deal with numbers. That's the point I'm trying to make. Yes, she's a socialist accountant. Unconventional, yes, that's my data, my English data bundles are depleted for the day. So thank you so much. Next, I'd like to call up Mr. Abed Tau, in Tabiso's words, the social entrepreneur. Serial, sorry. Yes. He's left us with a lot of things to think about and how we view the world and how we look at entrepreneurship, not only as accountants, but just as people in society. He also personally challenges me all the time. So thank you for coming through, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd then like to call up Sehopoche Malachi, a fellow colleague. I think today we all saw how passionate she is. No one exudes passion about what she does and what she believes in more than Seho. She's not just like this here. It's every encounter that I have with her, whether good or bad, she will really be expressive and honest about how she feels. So thank you for always doing that. And I know for a fact that students will never forget you. So thank you. And everyone in this room. Then I'd like to call upon Osposha Mkabela, ACC head, for cluster head for Southern Africa. We call her family, but also a big sister. As an ACCA key stakeholder within the Department of Commercial Accounting, we have walked this journey with ACCA since 2017. I could probably say run it, because we ran through an airport. I'd come from Comrades, flew from Durban to Joburg to catch a flight at 1 a.m. to go to a conference about a professional body that we knew very little about. And almost 10 years later, we are here. So thank you so much. then I'd like to thank two giants who are still alive in our lifetime. Mam Koboto, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, as well as Professor Nkutlu, who's joining us online. May the hard work that you've done never fall behind or never be lost. May we continue to create our own legacy based on the foundation that you have built over the past. So thank you so much for joining us. Then I'd like to thank the team who have made today possible. I'd like to start by thanking the ACCA and SNG team who have been working tirelessly with us. This concept was actually bred, or Kada planted the seed. He called me, he's like, hey, Bitumelo, you know, Mr. Sekese wants to work with you. I'm like, with us? He's like, yeah, you know, let's have a call. And it started in a Teams meeting, and a few months later we're here. And I will say that it's not the last one. It's the start of a series where we will be hosting more of these to discuss solutions as part of bridging the gap within South Africa. So thank you so much to the team. To Prof. Dankiso, our Executive Dean, in his absentia, thank you so much for the support that he gives us all the time when we're hosting different events. And thank you to Prof. Osana. Unfortunately, he is leaving the institution at the end of the month, but I call him our big brother, so we will stalk you. We will see where you are, and we will continue to invite you to us as a department. Thank you for being the light that we need at times, not at times, all the time within the department. So thank you so much. And then to Prof. Ben as well in absentia. He did say that he is here in spirit in the video, so we do want to thank him for always supporting us as well. As Lulama said, things won't happen if your leadership doesn't support you, and they really do support us collectively. To Lerato Mabanga, the lady standing in white in the middle, she's our marketing and communications coordinator. You've received communications from her regarding today's event. Thank you so much for everything that you do. Yeah, thank you. To Temba and Tandi, I don't see Tandi, but I see oh, there's Tandi. Tandi is our departmental secretary, and Temba is our administrator within the department. Thank you so much, as well as Gal in his absentia. I'd also like to thank our peer mentors, the two ladies in orange. They're currently our students. They always help us graciously and where we are hosting this event. Thank you to the team for coordinating and ensuring that this event is successful. And to the person who held it down for this evening, our MC, Ms. Lulama Boyce. Thank you so much. It was great to have you as our program director. You steered the ship very well this evening. And most importantly, to our guests in the room and online, thank you so much for being here. Such events don't exist if you aren't in the room. So we may bring exceptional people, but without you in the room, the event is pretty much null and void. So thank you for your engagement and your presence as well. I'd like to ask that we take a picture, a group picture, and then we can, sorry. Okay. Sorry, before we end and take pictures, I'd like to invite everyone within the room to actually, you're welcome to some dinner and some drinks. I think when you arrived, you received 2 tokens. You'll be able to use that when you actually, if you'd like to get a drink. And we thank you for your presence. To the people who joined us online as well, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time to be with us, and we look forward to seeing you in the future. Thank you and good evening.